There were so many interesting features released in Wave 1 that it was hard to decide which ones to highlight in our first webinar. And it's come to the point where we have decided that we needed to do a part 2 to showcase some of the other features that we could not fit into our last webinar. So on our agenda today, we are going to have a look at these extra ones here, which I thought would be quite useful to you. So it's using attachments from document lines when sending out emails, searching in company data, create opening balances for item tracked inventory, ship and receive non-inventory items on warehouse docs, and default dimensions on locations, inventory documents, and journals. Please note that in the presentation today, I will be using the Cronus AU demo company, and everything that I am showing today is standard D365 Business Central out the box. As a reminder, you have always got access to see the new features that have been released and the potential new releases by using the help functionality. Please note Wave 2 for 2023 has now been announced. And as soon as we have set up a new environment, we will showcase the Wave 2 features in another webinar. So just as a reminder to go and find those new releases, all you need to do is click on the question mark or the help function, click on help and support down at the bottom, and you can see here it says see which capabilities are coming soon. So click on that link and it will open up the various releases that are out at the moment. So this is the one that I'm taking you through today, well, the extra ones, and this is running from April through to September. Please note Wave 2 will be coming through in October, and you can go in and have a look for yourself as to what will be released then. But just a reminder, so once you click on the actual link, you need to come through to SMB, into D365 Business Central, and then you can click on what's new and planned. Now, as usual, they do break them down into all the different categories. And if there's something you want to look at, you can either scroll down on the main page here, and you can see these are the ones for the applications. And don't forget that you can actually just come in and click on any one of these links if you want to see something, and it will give you some, let's say, use the statistical accounts, which we covered last time. You can come in here and it will actually give you the reason why they've done it, all the feature details. Sometimes there'll be screenshots in there, and then you can have a look and see if you wanted to use that functionality. And also please just remember as well that there's also something here called the feature. As soon as that comes up, I'm just clicking on the search button there. Once this comes up, some of that functionality does need to be turned on, and you need to go into feature management here. And then these are all the options where you may need to enable that functionality. And some of this functionality by default will actually be automatically enabled. So basically, as of October this year, all these things will automatically be there. You don't have to turn them on and off. So that's just a reminder for you. So let's just go back to our agenda and look at the first option that we want to start with. So this is using attachments from document lines while sending out emails. So often there is a requirement to send out attachments with the order, whether it be sales or the purchase side, regarding the items on the order. Now to do this, you need to the first step is to actually attach the document to the item in the attachment sections on the item card. And this could be things like PDFs on assembly instructions. You could have MSDS sheets, you could have care instructions, you can even have photos up there. It's entirely up to you. But if there's any attachments that you need to go, that needs to go out with a sales order or a purchase order, as long as they have been attached to the item record, then you can send them out in an email. So let's go and have a look at this. I'm just going to call up my sales orders by clicking on my queue here. And I'm just going to actually search up here for my document number that I've pre-set up. So here's my sales order that I've set up, and that will open up. Now you'll notice down here I've got my two lines. One will be the Amsterdam lamp, and the other one's going to be the Mexico swivel chair. I'm just turning on my fact box by clicking on the eye up there, and then just scroll down. Now when I click on the Amsterdam lamp, what will happen is on the side here, you can see that there are attachments already available for this particular item. So I've got technical specifications there. I can also click into here and add anything extra if I wanted to, and then that will be available for you to send out by email. And the same with the Mexico swivel chair. Again, if I click on the documents, you can see which attachments I have. Okay. So when we want to email these out, all I need to do is print and send, do my email confirmation, click on that button. It will open up the email screen. And by default, what it will be doing here is bringing up all the contacts that I may have associated with this particular order. And you can see I've got a datum and I've also got Anthony Lording. So their email addresses are going to come up. I'm actually just going to replace that with my email address for now, just so that we can get it going through. Next part of the screen here is the actual body of the email that's come up, but you need to go to the bottom here where we've got attachments. By default, because we're emailing out the order, it will attach a copy of the order in PDF format. You could also just on the fly go and attach any other attachments that you may want, that you may have on your system. But to pick up the ones that have been attached to the item records, all we need to do is click on this button called Add File from Source Document. It then will go through all the lines and it will bring back the list of PDFs or photos or whatever else you may have attached. It could be Excel sheets, it could be Word documents. And then all I'm doing is using my control button and clicking the documents that I want to attach. You'll notice this one up here, I just threw something in. That's actually an attachment against the customer. So you can also, if you've got things attached to a customer record, you can send those off on the email as well. So once you've selected these, all you need to do is press OK. They will then be shown up in the bottom here. And all you need to do is click on the Send Email button. And that will obviously go out and send the email. Now, if I go and have a look at my email, here it is. There it is. I've sent it out, sent it to myself, and it will now show me all the attachments. So there it is, sales order. There's my technical specification for the lamp and also for the Mexican chair. And coming down, you can see there's the body of the email. So that's the one functionality that we thought would be worth showing to you about sending out attachments with your emails. The next one I wanted to show you is this searching company data. They have kind of said it is release, but they've still kept the word preview there, and I notice it's come back up in the Wave 2 for 2023 as being released again. It is there, you can use it, so I recommend that even though it is in preview, just go and use it. Now there's a couple of ways of bringing it up. I can use my keyboard and press Control Alt and F, and that will bring up the screen. Don't forget, you can actually bookmark this if you wanted to, and that will then show up in your section up here. Let me just move that out the way. And there it is, I have bookmarked it. It will also show up in your actions. If it's not, remember you may have got it turned off, so you may need to personalize your screen and show that feature, or you can use the search button at the top and it will pop up searching company data. Now here I'm going to look for the word Peter. As soon as I've entered it, I just got to press the enter button, and then it will go and look for all occurrences of Peter. So here we can see we've got Peter Klein, we've got Peter Johnson, we've got Maddie Peters, and there's all the records that have the word Peter in it, or the string of characters. Likewise, if I use LOW as a string of characters that I'm looking for, you'll notice these ones have come up, the posted sales invoices, and that's because the string LOW is in the middle of the word flower. Again, here I've got one Willowwood. The LOW is in the middle of the word Willowwood, and that's why it's brought it up. So all you need to do is then just click on the actual link, and it will then bring that record up for you so that you can then view it. By the same token, if a customer has phoned you and has quoted a particular number, so if I go wave 1, press enter, it will go and look for wave 1, and you can see there is the document I've had just now, Wave 1 2023 84, and then there's the other one there. So again, literally just click on the link and it will pop that document up. As I say, it's very useful when you're looking for a document and all the customer has or your supplier is just their reference, and as long as you've entered it, it will go and find the record, and you can then open up the information that you're searching for. The next one is create opening balances for item tracked inventory. There will be times when you'll need to take on items that will have serial or batch numbers or lot numbers. And often this will be when you're first starting to use Business Central, and obviously we may use the configuration package to help you get all the information into the system. But there could be other instances where this will really be required. And this is, as an example, this is when you're taking over inventory from another company, or you may have made purchases, but it's not part of a purchase order. You know, you've just been given the stock and you need to take that stock on. So in the past, you would have to, as I said, use most probably the configuration package to import it, or go through a couple of screens to get the information in. They've made it a lot easier by having this little box here ticked, item tracking on lines. So let me take you through that process. So let me just call up the item journal. Let's get the spelling right, go into item journals. So what we will have up here is the batch name. Now, by default, most of you would just have the default one here. So if I open that one up, and I've got my paint in there, the ornamental pearl, and if I scroll to the right, it's literally just giving me all the quantities and the costs, and I've thrown in a few extra fields in there, and obviously there's all my dimensions. If I wanted to actually put in the lines, I would have to come into here, go into line tracking, and put in the lot number in there. And if it was a serialized item, I would have to come and put the serial numbers into here. But by having this extra option, or this new option here for open, and with that little button ticked, the minute I have that batch, and you can see I've used my ornamental pearl again, if I scroll to the right, what you'll notice is I now have an extra 4 fields that will appear, being the serial number, the lot number, the expiry date, and the warranty date. So in this case, for the first line, I've come in and put wave 12023, and there's my lot number with my dates. And then I've got another line with my second lot number and some dates. And again, if you wanted to, you could still click on the item tracking lines, and you'll notice it automatically has populated the screen for you. So you don't have to come in and open up the screen. If you've just taking on individual serial numbers, yes, you could put them into here. But again, you may just want to come back and use this screen, because I think it might just be easier, especially if you're using the create the customized serial number option in there. But anyway, I just thought this would be useful, because I know there's a lot of instances where people just want to enter everything in on the one screen without having to open up another screen. So that functionality is now available to you. The next one on my presentation is going to be shipping and receiving non-inventory items on warehouse documents. So in the past, if you had a mixture of inventory items and non-inventory items, and for non-inventory items, I'm referring to things such as delivery fees or any other charges that you may want to pass on to your customer, or maybe your vendor is charging on to you. And if you also had a configuration that requires picking and put away documents, so this is more where you're doing inventory picks and then put aways, and or the warehouse receipt and put aways, or the ship and the picks, you would actually have to process the items separately. So there would be someone in the warehouse that would have to process it. So in the example here, the warehouse has gone and processed and said out for ship 2, but it's actually left my non-inventory item on my order for someone, possibly in admin, to come along and then do the shipment of the non-inventory line. Well, they've made a huge change, which is absolutely great. So now they're giving us the option of how do we want to process these non-inventory items? Do we want to post them when one line on the order is actually posted, or do we want to link them to an inventory item so that when that item is posted, it will then process the non-inventory line? Getting a bit confusing here, but I'm going to go through and actually show you how we're going to set all that up. But just bear in mind, you can only attach the non-inventory, so like your delivery fee or your freight fee, to one line only. So we can't attach it to multiple lines. So how do we get this going? So first of all, we have to do some setup. So we have to go into either the sales and receivables setup or the purchases side. And there's a field down here that we need to set. So let's go and have a look at that. So I'm just going to call up on the sales side and go into my sales and receivables setup. And down here we have the field here called auto post non-inventory. So again, we've got the option of leaving it as none, which basically means the functionality stays the same. You don't have to change any processes. It will still ensure that you have to have 2 people to process a document. Or you can use all. Now, all just means that basically soon as a inventory line is posted, all your non-inventory lines will get posted at the same time as well. So if you post, let's say you've got an order with a machine on there and some spare parts. If you posted or just shipped the spare parts, the freight charges and any other non-inventory lines would automatically get posted at the same time. And then that would just possibly leave your order with your main machine still to go. And while that may be okay, for some customers, they're going, well, hang on, you've charged me $500 just to ship a couple of little items, not realizing that that $500 may actually be attached to the main machine. So what you've got is the other option here is called attach and assign. You can say, well, only post that freight line when I've actually shipped my main machine, not when I've shipped my actual parts. So let's go and see this in action. So I'm just going to call up another one of my sales orders that I've preset up. And I'm going to go and look for 186 as my sales order. So in here, I'm just going to turn my fact box off just so I've got a bit more visibility on the actual lines. If you're kind of wondering why my screen looks slightly different, all I've done is actually just collapse the top half of my document so I get a little bit more information on my screen here. So here I'm selling a scooter and some chairs and some freight delivery. Now I can see here that I'm charging $50 on freight. So I actually want the freight line to go out when I send my chairs. In that case, what I would then do is come into line under functions, and I've got attached to an inventory item line. So I'm taking my non-inventory of my freight and I'm going to attach it to one of my inventory lines. And this is where, remember, I made that caveat, you can only attach it to one line, so I can't attach it to both. I can only attach my delivery to one. And in this case, I've attached it to my chairs. So what will happen is if I was to ship this particular document, if I was to ship just the scooters, then it would just be the scooter on that particular shipment. But if I posted or shipped the chairs only, then on my shipment, there would be the chairs and the freight. Now, again, someone may come along and have a look at this, and you may have several non-inventory items in there, like freight, and maybe there's a stocking fee, or there could be an installation fee or something along those lines. They have included another field here called attached lines. So you can say, all right, for my chair here, which one of my non-inventory lines has actually been attached? So all I need to do is click on the one and I can see, okay, so for my chairs, the freight will go out at the same time. And I could have had my other charges like my installation fee and things like that attached to the scooter. But at least here you can have that visibility. But again, if you wanted to, all you need to do is come down to your non-inventory line, go to line, functions, and attach, and that will show you which one it is already attached to. Okay, then what will happen is when the shipment goes out, so when the warehouse does their shipment, all the non-inventory lines can go at the same time too, which I think is a huge improvement, and then it's just the invoice to go out. The final one that we wanted to look at, which we thought was worth mentioning, is these default dimensions on locations. So they introduced dimensions on locations a while back, but they never really covered all the documents that are available in the system. So now you'll notice that the dimensions on locations are now covered off on the transfer orders, the physical inventory orders, the inventory shipments, inventory receipts, and your item journals. And most of these will be you moving stock out of one location. So that's fine, because then it would just pick up the dimension for that location. But the big question is, well, what happens when a line will have two locations with a dimension value such as department? And this is really around your transfer orders. So the rule is that dimensions are copied from the last location field. So basically what they're saying is if I'm transferring from west to east, because east is going to be the last location where the items will land up, then it's going to use the dimension from east, which in this case is ADM. So let's go and have a look at that. So I'm just going to go back to my screen. I've bookmarked my transfer orders because I seem to use them a lot. So I've put them there for that quick, easy access. And here is 1026. So what you'll notice, I've set up my west location. And if I just drill into my west location and look at the dimensions here, so here I've got the department dimension with the value of production. By the same token, if I go and have a look at my east location, drill down into it and look at the dimensions there, you'll see that department is now ADM. Now remember, the rule is that the last location is the one where the dimension will be picked up from. So west had production, east had ADM or administration. And you'll now notice on the screen here, I have got my dimension called department, and you'll see it has picked up ADM because that is associated with east, where it's going to be the last place where the items will actually land up. And then if I drill into the actual transfer order, click on order up here and have a look at the dimensions. So again, you can see at a header level, it has picked up East's value for the department dimension. And then if I come and have a look at the actual individual lines here, so again, if I look at my ornamental pearl paint, bit of a tongue twister, and look at the dimension there, you'll see it has picked up on that line ADM. And if I just go and pick up another line, let's pick up this one, you'll see again it has also picked up the department ADM dimension, and it's picked up a few other dimensions because I've obviously added more dimensions to that particular item. So hopefully that's just giving you a preview or a highlight of some of the other dimensions or the other features that came out in Wave 1, what we thought would be worth mentioning to you. And please remember that if you are interested in any of these and you need any help, yes, you can go straight to the help functionality. But again, just please get in contact with your account manager and they can organize a consultant to assist you. So thank you for your interest